I recently watched a documentary by UK Radiators about overstated heat outputs on the radiators that we're buying for our homes. My mind was honestly blown at quite literally the lies that we're being told, whether we are homeowners or professional installers. What's happening is these radiators are being given a total heat output that could be as far out as 20 to even nearly 40%. What that means is the radiators that you're getting installed that have been calculated from the engineer that's sized the appropriate rad for the size of the room is just completely inaccurate. If you haven't yet seen that video, there will be a link in the description to check it out. Please go over and give it a watch. You'll be blown away by some of the stats in there. As soon as I saw it, I wanted to get Rob on site and have a chat with Lee to see if he was even aware of it himself. So what you're about to see is the conversation those two had.
Lee, how you doing, mate?
Good,
Rob,
mate.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
So it's the first time you fitted any of our radiators, right, from UK Radiators.
Yeah.
How'd you find them?
First thought, to be honest, when I first got them, I like the packaging. Normally, for stock levels and things like that, I use probably Screwfix for standard panel rads and things like that.
Yeah.
The amount of times I do like a full heating system, and you're always going to get one that's damaged, even if you collect it from the shop yourself, because the packaging's just, it's not complete as far as I'm concerned. You get bent grills and scuffs and marks, and that's one thing I noticed straight away. It was really heavy packaging. Like, it's good because you know you're paying for a product, you want it to arrive in good nick, and every single one I've opened has been perfect.
Ideal, yeah. We've worked really hard on getting the packaging right. What do you normally do about sort of making sure that the rads are the right size, like properly sized and got sufficient heat output?
Yeah, like a new install, like from scratch, and I'll do a heat loss calc.
Yeah.
If it's like replacing existing rad, we get that a lot where it's a standard panel rad there and they want a nice designer one like this, for example.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to sort of if you're going off existing pipework and footprint, it's hard to get one big enough in that sense. And it's just one of them, it's a conversation with the customer. I always recommend the biggest one you can get in the space, and obviously one you can afford within budget, like bigger the better always.
When it comes to that kind of heat output and the BTUs, like you kind of say, you do a heat loss calc and you say to the customer, like, this is what you need in terms of heat output, and then they go off and find that sometimes, or sometimes.
Yeah, that's it. If I've sort of sized it, then I'll just say this is the one you need, basically. They'll give me the colour and the design, like flat panel or these tube ones. And then I'll go and get a BTU rated one for the one they need for the room in their design that they like.
Yeah, so kind of the interesting thing about that is like when it comes to like the heat outputs, you're kind of relying on the retailer or the distributor that you're buying that from, that's accurate, right? Something that we've done recently, we had some kind of suspicions that there were some rads out there that were being overstated, or where the heat outputs were being overstated. So we've recently sort of bought radiators from a bunch of different online retailers, some of them quite big names. We've taken the rads and we've sent them for testing at a lab in the UK, VitrA, which is the only notified body in the UK that's registered and an acceptable location to test for like CE marking and UK CA marking, which is like post-Brexit. And some of the rads are like overstated by quite a significant amount. Yeah.
Wow.
Is that something that you've ever kind of?
No, to be honest, to be honest, I've never looked into it. You take them for their word, you know what I mean? They say it's got this certain heat output, so you go with what you're saying. And it's, like I say, a lot of them, when it's an existing install, I'll just size it to like the pipe work anyway, to make the job a bit easier. I find a lot of the time anyway, when you go into older houses, the rads were oversized in the first place. So if you go to the existing footprint for just say a panel rad, for example, it's going to be almost too big anyway for the room. When I design a system, I like to get involved with the balancing and like the sizing it correctly to make it the most efficient it can be. But when you go into existing housing stock and you know a lot of things are out of your control, you just sort of work to your best endeavour sort of thing.
And as you said, like if the rad has been oversized, then it's not so much of an issue. But it's like you say with a new install, or when you are doing those heat loss calculations, like you're relying upon
it could really mess you up, to be fair. Like
and you don't always know about it either.
I think it's a bit naughty, to be honest. I really do that they're doing that. It's not that I don't know what could be done about it, but it's not good, especially with like moving forward how high gas bills are and things like that.
This is it, exactly.
It's going to cost people money unnecessarily. So it's quite, I'm shocked to hear that they've been allowed to get away with it.
I mean, like we tested like 5 rads from 5 different websites, and like some of them are pretty big names. I believe that some of them potentially they're being fed incorrect information by their suppliers. They're not doing the checks that they're supposed to be doing. I think some of them are doing it on purpose. The reason we've decided not to say names is because really that like we've got regulations in place and it's and we have a government, right, and it's the government's responsibility to ensure that businesses adhere to the regulations that are in place. So for us, what we're trying to do is just raise awareness of the issue and then call on the government to step in and to start enforcing the regulations that are in place. If they did that, then we wouldn't have the issue. We don't think is the kind of right move for us as a business.
It could just be a bit of sloppiness on their part, like you say. They put their trust in their supplier, and they're taking their word for it, the same as I am when I buy my rad off them.
Exactly.
I'm not going to go and start rigging it up to test tubes and things like that. It's way beyond my paycheck. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly that. So it's very difficult for us to know exactly like if they're doing it on purpose, like necessarily, or if it's coming from the supplier further down the supply chain. But yeah, for us, we think that it's the government's responsibility to step in and to do something about that, as opposed to us kind of singling out and calling out names.
It's rammed on us at the moment about being as green as you can be.
This
so
is it.
If the government care that much about it, then it's the sort of thing they should be following up on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of these rads, the ones that we've tested only, and there's others out there that I suspect are even higher than this, but the highest one out of the ones that we tested was overstated by 38%.
Wow.
Yeah, 38% overstated heat output.
If you've got 10 of them in your house, you know what I mean? That's a lot of usage.
Exactly that. And there's one thing on a gas central heating system, you can at least control the flow temperature of the system to compensate, even though that's going to cost you a lot more in your heating bills, right? But if you've installed a heat pump,
I was going to say, it's the problem. That's the thing. Your design parameters on a heat pump have got to be so accurate. So then for something to be 30% bigger times 7 or 8, it's going to put a lot of stress on something that's meant to save you money, isn't it?
This is it.
So as you could tell, Lee was just as surprised as I was when we found out that the radiators just quite literally aren't performing as they were. Luckily, we've had radiators installed from UK Radiators. If you're interested in some radiators that you do know perform and give the heat outputs that they say they do, check out UK Radiators. Links will be in the description of this video. Thank you for watching. Go check out the UK Radiators documentary video, and to stay up to date with everything that is happening at the Verified Build, make sure you hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.